Let's see if I can pick Jamal up. Let's see, you ready? Let's see if I can pick you up. You ready? Ready? You heavy as hell now. You haven't been heavy before.
Watch a woman named Lynn teach the man she loves how to write again, 5 years after doctors told her to let him go.
Okay, I'm gonna have you write one more thing. You can have your thing. Okay, now I want you to write, because this is it. You quiet? You know I'm gonna tell you to write? I want you to write, God is good.
Now watch the same Lynn, deep into that fight, ask the internet a question nobody saw coming.
When the love changes after trauma, do you stay or do you go? So you can drop your answer if you're not gonna be there tonight, or you can drop how you feel in the comments, but it's gonna be a deep conversation.
What happened between those two clips is one of the most painful stories the internet has watched play out in real time. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand why the millions of people who once called this couple their inspiration cannot even agree anymore on who the villain is. And this is not just one story. Tonight we are walking through 3 of them, and every single one ends in a place nobody expected. A woman who nursed her man back from what doctors called a hopeless condition, only to hear him admit on camera what he had been doing behind her back. A glamorous influencer whose feud with a rival, reportedly over something as small as an Instagram unfollow, ended with her underneath a black Mercedes outside a London nightclub, and a beloved makeup artist who finally found freedom and love again, right before one holiday night in Fort Worth took everything, on the same night that 2 little young ones across town, in a completely separate incident, never made it home either. So after everything Lynn gave this man, what could he possibly have done to make her ask total strangers whether she should leave? Hold that thought, because we are coming right back to it, and it starts in Minneapolis in 2017. Back in 2017, Lynn Hervey and Jamal Collins were introduced by mutual friends on a setup date in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And it was the kind of first date people dream about, because they went out to eat, they went go-karting, and they hit the arcade, all in one day. Listen to her tell it, because years later she still lit up telling that story on television.
They met in 2017 when friends set them up on a date.
He was really, really cool. We went out to eat, we went go-karting, we went to an arcade. We did so much that day.
Jamal knew almost immediately that he wanted to marry this woman, and he proposed to her twice early on. She said no both times because she felt the proposals lacked effort and she wanted him to do more, and she held that standard for about 2 years before she finally said yes.
Jamal knew this match was forever. He wanted to marry her.
He asked me twice, but the way he did it, I was like, I just feel like you should do more. So I said no.
After 2 years, Lynn finally said yes.
From there, life moved fast in the best way. They moved in together. They welcomed a son, Jamal Jr., who everyone calls Junior, and Jamal started his own business. In Lynn's own words from later live streams, before anything went wrong, this man loved the ground she walked on, and there was nothing she could ask for that did not get handled. By her account, she got roughly 3 years of that good life. 3 years of being taken care of and building something. And then came April 16, 2020. That evening, Jamal was hanging out with friends on Irving Avenue North in Minneapolis at around 9:40 at night. Someone opened fire on the street. A local KSTP report from that same night describes Minneapolis police responding to a ShotSpotter activation on the 3500 block of Irving Avenue North, where 2 adult males had been shot and were taken to North Memorial Health Hospital. Nobody was in custody, no motive was released, and to this day, no publicly available police reports, charging documents, or named suspects for this specific shooting have ever surfaced in open records. For Lynn, the news arrived as a phone call from one of Jamal's friends, and it carried the words, "No partner should ever hear." Listen to how she found out.
It was April 16, 2020. Jamal was with friends on Irving Avenue North in Minneapolis, and someone started.
At 9:40, 9:45, his friend called me and he said, Jamal he's dead.
Jamal was ahead and rushed into surgery. Lynn was told he was brain dead and to consider organ donation.
She was told over the phone that the man she planned to marry was gone, and then she got to the hospital, and the doctors delivered something almost crueler than death. He was alive, technically, but they assessed him as brain dead, and the medical staff advised her to start thinking about organ donation. There is a detail here most people watching this story never knew. Lynn held power of attorney over Jamal's affairs, because according to what has been shared in the couple's own live streams, Jamal had gotten into some legal trouble around 2018 and 2019 and had gone to jail, and arrangements were made for Lynn to hold power of attorney over his cars, his money, and his health decisions. In that hospital hallway, the decision about whether Jamal Collins lived or died belonged to her, and she refused to let him go. Listen to her reasoning, which was almost stubborn in its simplicity.
I know he ate right and stuff, so physically he's gonna be able to get there. And I know one side is gonna be weaker, but I know we're able to get that stronger. And I was like, I'm keeping him here.
What she signed up for in that moment is something most people cannot imagine. Jamal survived, but he came back with a severe traumatic brain injury, with aphasia, which affects speech and language, and ataxia, which affects coordination and movement, and he needed a tracheostomy tube in his throat to breathe, and a feeding tube to eat. The man who once handled everything for her, now needed help with everything. So Lynn, supported by her mother Renita, became his full-time caregiver, and her days filled up with physical therapy and speech therapy as he relearned how to walk, how to swallow, and how to form words.
We was drinking Chardonnay on the airplane.
Yeah. It's alright, you know.
Then he had to get up and go to the bathroom between the gravity, him, and the Chardonnay. Look here, it was like, Jamal, you got it.
I'm trying to make sure you don't fall down the thing.
Look.
Slowly and painfully it worked, because the trach came out and the feeding tube came out. Watch how far they actually got.
Years of therapy and hard work by Jamal, Lynn, and her mother Renita paid off.
He had a trach. Trach is gone. He had a feeding tube. Feeding tube is gone.
They documented all of it on TikTok under the name Love Saved You, and the account grew to nearly 1 million followers, because people could not look away from something that genuine, raw therapy sessions and small victories, stacking up one after another. The injury even rewired basic things about him, because Jamal had been right-handed his whole life, and afterward, he had to learn to write with his left while working around vision problems where he could no longer track words from left to right, and would only stay in the frame his eyes could see. By early 2025, this had become one of the biggest feel-good stories in Minnesota, and CBS Minnesota sent reporter Reg Chapman to feature them as proof that love can survive anything. Listen to the way Lynn talked about her biggest goal.
Apple documents his triumphs and challenges on social media. Love Saved You was followed by almost 1 million people on TikTok.
Okay. But my biggest goal is just helping him get his voice back. He want to walk, but I want to hear him talk.
They had found a specialized facility in the Chicago area that treats aphasia and ataxia, and a fundraiser was set up to help them get there. Nearly 1 million people were rooting for them. National outlets picked up the story, and this was supposed to be the happy chapter. Remember that fundraiser and that Chicago trip, though, because Jamal's own family is about to stand in front of a camera and accuse Lynn of something about that money. And what Jamal himself admits on camera afterward cuts even deeper. By the middle of 2025, just months after that glowing CBS feature, the Love Saved You story started falling apart in public, and it fell apart in the messiest way possible, through live streams, Q&A sessions, and family members going live to air everything out. It started with Lynn, who posted a video that stopped her followers cold, because for the first time, the woman who had spent 5 years selling hope was talking about walking away. Listen to how she described everything they had before the injury.
I've been with Jamal 3 years before he got hurt, and then 5 years after he got hurt. That's when he got his TBI. And one thing for sure is, before that man got his TBI, he loved the ground that I walked on. Like, there's nothing I could ask for. There's nothing that didn't get handled. Nothing.
And listen to where she landed after all of it.
But, you know, after his injury, a lot of things have changed, you know. And we sit online and we talk about, you know, what's the same and, you know, what's different. But we're always, like, talking about personality and stuff. But the whole thing about it is, I stayed. I loved him through it. I do love him through it. When he couldn't talk, when he couldn't walk. I stayed because that's unconditional love.
She talked about loving someone whose personality and abilities had changed after a traumatic brain injury, about being a caregiver and a mother at the same time, and about starting what she called a new journey focused on her own healing. Commentary channels immediately framed it in the harshest terms possible, with titles about how she nursed him back from a vegetative state only for him to cheat, and those titles existed because of what Jamal himself said next. In Q&A style and hot seat videos filmed with Lynn, her mother Renita, and at times their friend Dawn, Jamal admitted on camera that he had cheated on Lynn both before the 2020 injury and after it. These were his own admissions in their own content, and according to what was shared in those sessions, once Jamal had recovered enough mobility to use a wheelchair and no longer needed the trach or the feeding tube, he spent a period actually living with a woman described as his sneaky link, while acknowledging continuing contact with other women. The recovery Lynn built with her own hands, hour by hour and session by session, is the same recovery that gave him the independence to step out on her. Even neutral commentators, who had followed the couple for years, struggled to process it. Listen to one of them try.
He's living his best life, and you can't really hate on this woman. You can't. Regardless. But the fact that he cheated is insane to me. Like, if it's true, and apparently I heard that he cheated with her mama.
The rumor mill spun so far out of control that accusations started flying in every direction, including wild and unverified claims involving Lynn's own mother and claims involving Jamal's best friend, Dawn. Watch Lynn confront the accusation against herself directly, with Jamal sitting right next to her.
So this is from, this is from Tina. Her comment is, she states that I cheated on Jamal with his friend. Jamal, have I cheated on you with your friend?
No, at all. No.
And who was your best friend?
None.
Then came the accusations about money, and this is where the heartbreak turned into a war. Commenters and family members raised claims about Lynn having a financial interest in Jamal's disability benefits, his power of attorney, and a purported life insurance policy worth roughly $1 million that would have paid out if he had died. Lynn and her mother publicly denied all of it, and her answer on live was as blunt as it gets. Listen to her account for herself.
I went to school to be an esthetician, so I do lashes, I do facials. I have my own job doing payroll, so I don't sit here and need Jamal for nothing. I help Jamal because I want to. You guys are forgetting that I had $1 million that if I would have pulled the plug on him, I could have been living my own best life. I didn't have to do this. I do this because I love Jamal.
Whatever you think of this situation, that argument is hard to dismiss, because if money was ever her motive, the easiest payday was the one the doctors offered her in April of 2020, and she turned it down and chose 5 years of caregiving instead. Jamal's side of the family saw it completely differently, and when the breakup became public, they went live on Facebook and TikTok and unloaded everything. They claimed Lynn had put a restraining order in place that kept them from visiting him, and they claimed the power of attorney was filed long after the shooting rather than before it. Listen to them make that case in their own words.
Like, that's not it.
The fake power of attorney. It was filed. No, I mean, June 2021. This was filed months or a year later after he was Twitter was April 2020. It got filed June 7th, 2021. I have the documents.
Then his sister went live about the fundraiser for the specialized therapy trip, and her claim turned the entire supporter base upside down. Listen to exactly what she said.
For all the people that said that gave money up for that GoFundMe for him to go to Chicago, he did not go to Chicago. I found out the truth about that. He did not in Chicago. This bitch used the money. She be sitting up there making GoFundMe just so this get money.
To be completely clear, these are accusations made on live streams, not court findings, and no public court filings, fraud charges, or official records back up either side's financial claims. Lynn and her mother denied wrongdoing, and continued to say the family narrative was false. But the damage was done because the internet now held two completely opposite versions of the same woman, the devoted angel who saved a man's life, and the accusations painting something else entirely. On top of all of it, a baby appeared. In later live streams, viewers noticed a new baby in the family's content, and the questions would not stop. So on a TikTok live addressing the rumors head-on, Jamal repeatedly claimed the child as his own with another woman, while making clear Lynn was not the mother. Watch how the baby question got answered.
Yeah, that's his baby.
He says, that's my kid.
I'll tell you what, the real. But in my burning mat, boys, I the papa of that baby.
What's crazy is that's what his baby mama said.
Which brings us to the marriage in this video's title. Sensational pages ran wild with the story, and headlines claimed Jamal had gone off and married another woman, but no credible public records, marriage licenses, wedding announcements, or reliable reports confirm that Jamal Collins formally married anyone. What the record does show is heavier than any wedding rumor, because the woman who gave 5 years of her life to rebuild him watched him admit to cheating before and after his injury, watched him welcome a child with someone else, and watched his family drag her name through the mud while she was still, by every account including his family's own complaints, the person managing his care. Watch how Lynn ended her video, because she left the decision with all of you.
When the love changes after trauma, do you stay or do you go? So you can drop your answer if you're not going to be there tonight, or you can drop how you feel in the comments, but it's going to be a deep conversation.
That is our first story, and everyone in it is still alive to argue about it. Our second story never got that chance. It belongs to two women in the London influencer scene whose conflict ended on a Soho pavement at 4:30 in the morning, and the reason behind it, when you finally hear it, is smaller than anything you are imagining. Claudia Zakarzewska, known to the internet as Claudia Glam, was 32 years old, born in Poland, and living in Essex, England, where she had built herself into a genuine name in the UK beauty and fashion scene. Her Instagram sat at more than 260,000 followers, filled with lifestyle content, travel, and brand collaborations, including work as a Fashion Nova brand ambassador and an appearance in a reality program. Family and friends described her as someone with a pure heart, and her mother would later call her my angel, my world, my everything. On the other side of this story is Gabrielle Carrington, known online as Riel UK. She was 29, from Broadfield Road in Manchester, and she was a familiar face in her own right, because back in 2013, as a teenager, she reached the live finals of the X Factor UK as part of the girl group Miss Dynamics, put together by Gary Barlow. After the group disbanded, she rebuilt herself as an influencer, growing over 365,000 Instagram followers with luxury holidays, designer goods, a hair care business called Hair Buriel, and one very recognizable prop that kept showing up in her content, a black Mercedes that is about to become the most important object in this entire story. These two women were not strangers either. They were colleagues in the same UK influencer space, and according to prosecutors, there was an ongoing dispute between them. The internet immediately decided the beef had to be about a man, and we will get to that rumor, because a friend of Claudia who was actually there that night says the real reason is so much smaller and so much sadder. It is the early hours of Sunday, April 19th, 2026, on Argyle Street in Soho, central London, right near Oxford Circus. The Inca nightclub is still going. The street outside is busy with people leaving venues, and at around 4:30 in the morning, everything explodes. According to prosecutor Rizwan Amin, who laid out the sequence at Carrington's first court appearance based on CCTV, Carrington had arrived on Argyle Street in her car, parked near the Inca nightclub, and got into an altercation with a male as she exited the vehicle, which then escalated to involve several other members of the public. Security staff from the club tried to step in and separate people, and it did not work because the situation grew into what police would later describe as a melee, with lots of people shouting. Bystander video, which spread across social media within hours, shows Claudia and Carrington exchanging blows in a heated physical fight on the street, while a crowd gathers around them with phones out. Fights like that happen outside clubs every single weekend, and almost all of them end with bruises and a bad story. But this one did not, because of what Carrington allegedly did next. Per the CCTV evidence outlined in court, Carrington was seen returning to the driver's seat of the black Mercedes, and in the prosecutor's words, the vehicle was then captured immediately moving off and sharply mounting the pavement. Claudia was positioned at the front side of the car, and Prosecutor Amin told the court exactly what the footage showed next. During this maneuver, the vehicle has struck Miss Zakurzewska, who was positioned to the front side of the vehicle, and she was dragged forwards and dropped between the vehicle and a metal bike rack. As the vehicle kept moving forward, it fully took her underneath the vehicle. The car did not stop with her. As it moved, it also struck a 56-year-old security guard named Anush Chaichi, who was on the pavement doing nothing more than unlocking his e-scooter, an innocent man with zero connection to the dispute, and a third victim, a woman in her 30s, named Letitia Armstrong, suffered a fractured scaphoid bone in her wrist. The bystander footage then captured the part that turned a viral fight video into a criminal case watched around the world. The Mercedes reversing over the now motionless Claudia as onlookers scream variations of "she's running her over" in total panic.
Yes, you did. She's running her over. She's running her over.
When police arrived shortly after 5 in the morning, the scene was so chaotic that officers could not immediately grasp the full extent of what happened until they reviewed the CCTV. Carrington was arrested at the scene, and when officers breath tested her, the reading came back at 61 micrograms of alcohol per 100 milliliters of breath, when the UK legal limit is 35, close to double the limit. Within a day, this was everywhere, and commentary channels across the UK were covering it wall to wall in open disbelief. Listen to how the story was landing.
Big news, influencer Claudia,
yes.
RIP, back end of a fight, run over by another influencer, Rael. A man in his 50s was injured as well.
Yeah.
And apparently there's a third person that's injured
I saw that too.
as well.
It seems like it was quite a build-up into that, but of course, before we even get into that, of course, condolences to Claudia's family. Of course, it is a shame that you go out for a night out and unfortunately you don't make it home. So before we get into things and talk about it as it's as gossip essentially, because this is a podcast, that is what we do. Also want to speak about these people like they are humans and they very much have meaning in people's lives. So rest in peace to Claudia, and condolences to her family, of course, as well.
Podcast hosts going through the footage frame by frame noticed something even darker in the seconds before the car moved, because people on that street saw what was about to happen before it happened. Listen closely to this detail.
So it was chaos. That is the perfect word for it. Absolute chaos. And then, of course, she goes to get in the car. So Riel goes to get in her car. I think there's someone banging on the car saying don't do that. But there's also, if you look really closely in one of these videos, and I don't want to be messy, but I also want to point out something that I noticed.
Claudia was rushed to hospital in critical, life-threatening condition, while Carrington sat in a cell, and within 36 hours, the Crown Prosecution Service charged her with attempted murder, grievous bodily harm with intent, assault, occasioning actual bodily harm, dangerous driving, and drink driving. The charge said attempted murder because at that point, Claudia was still alive, and her family believed with everything in them that she was going to fight her way back. What happened over the next 6 days, and what her mother wrote while sitting at that hospital bedside, is the hardest part of this story. While Carrington sat in custody, Claudia's family lived through what her mother, Kinga Zakurzewska, would call the most devastating time the family had ever faced. Claudia was in a coma. Doctors were honest with the family about how bad it was, and rather than give up, Kinga went public. A GoFundMe, titled "Give Claudia a Fighting Chance," was set up by Caroline Wyszynski on behalf of the family, with a goal of £50,000, and Kinga's message on that page is genuinely difficult to read. She wrote, "Claudia is in critical condition, and due to the severity of her injuries, Doctors do not believe she will survive, but I truly believe her fight is not over. Claudia is strong, and I know she still has a chance." She added, "My daughter is currently in a coma and desperately fighting for her life. This is the most devastating time our family has ever faced." On Claudia's own Instagram stories, Kinga posted an appeal that reached hundreds of thousands of followers. "I'm asking from the deepest place in my heart, please keep my beautiful daughter Claudia in your prayers right now. She is my angel, my world, my everything, and she needs all the love, strength, and healing we can send her." The family kept a vigil at her bedside for 6 days, and then, on Saturday, April 25, 2026, the Metropolitan Police confirmed that Claudia Zakurzewska had died from her injuries. Detective Chief Inspector Allison Foxwell, leading the investigation, released a statement that offered condolences and fired a warning shot at the entire internet in the same breath. "We would like to express our deepest sympathies to Claudia's family and friends in light of this tragic update. We recognize that this case has generated significant interest and discussion on social media. However, we would urge the public to refrain from further speculation. We also ask that people do not share graphic footage out of respect for Claudia's loved ones and for those who have been injured." End quote. With her death, the charge of attempted murder against Gabrielle Carrington was upgraded to murder. Carrington's behavior in court became a story of its own. District Judge Nina Tempia remanded her in custody, with prosecutors pointing to her frequent travel to Dubai and her significant social media influence as reasons she could interfere with the case if released. While the courts moved slowly, the internet moved fast, and the rumor that dominated everything was that this was a fight over a man, specifically a UK rapper known as Twin S, with viral posts claiming lines like, "You, my ex," and old footage of the rapper resurfacing. Except a close friend of Claudia, known publicly as Lala, who says she was there that night, came forward and shut that narrative down. According to her account, this argument was not about a man, and her explanation was that Claudia had unfollowed Riel UK on Instagram a long time ago, which led to direct messages asking why, and months of simmering built up tension between the two women. Listen to another commentator land on the same detail.
A close friend of hers, who I have reposted, if you check the repost you'll see, has confirmed that it was over unfollowing as well. Doesn't justify what happened at all in regards to Rael doing this to Claudia, because Claudia unfollowed her. It was other issues as well, but I think the friend was trying to highlight that obviously when people have severe mental health issues in regards to acting unhinged and stuff, it should be looked into in regards to people enabling the behaviour. Because from what we saw in the video as well, people were egging her on to get into the Rael, to get into the car. People also had the bystander effect kicking in, where they're literally not doing anything when they're seeing the situation escalate as well. We're seeing people getting jumped as well. No one is intervening.
If Lala's account is accurate, a 32-year-old woman is gone, a 56-year-old security guard has life-changing injuries, and a 29-year-old is facing a murder trial, and the seed of it all was a social media unfollow button. Not everyone online was against Carrington, though, and this is where the case gets genuinely divisive, because a TikTok creator who identified herself as one of Carrington's clients went viral defending her, arguing the footage everyone shared only showed half the story. Watch her make that argument, and watch how far she takes it.
And it's just because Gabby basically reacted in a way which unalives somebody, that's why everybody's now Gabby. But you're not looking at the fact that Claudia jumped her. She was attacked.
To be crystal clear, these are one person's claims and opinions, not established facts, and police have repeatedly urged the public not to speculate on the case. It shows you how fractured the public reaction became, because half the internet saw a cold act caught on camera, and the other half saw a woman who was allegedly outnumbered in a fight and made a catastrophic choice. The courts will settle it, and the road there has already been strange. On August 3, 2026, at the Old Bailey, Carrington appeared by video link from HMP Bronzefield, with no barrister representing her, and formally pleaded not guilty to murder and to causing grievous bodily harm with intent. She told the court it would not be wise to represent herself long-term, saying, "This is my life. This is the toughest decision I have to make," and she appeared emotional, wiping tears through the hearing while family members of the victims shook their heads in the public gallery. A week later, on August 11th, the court gave her 7 days to confirm her legal representation, and she admitted it would be crazy to represent herself. The trial is set to begin on January 5th, 2027, at the Old Bailey, before Judge Sarah Whitehouse KC, with veteran prosecutor Crispin Aylett KC leading the case. And until then, she remains presumed innocent, in custody, with the question of murder or something less to be decided by a jury rather than a comment section. Our third belongs to a woman who had no feud with anyone at all, because Tasha Hyman was not beefing with a rival, and she was not in anybody's drama. She was standing outside her fiancé's family home on the 4th of July. What makes her story hurt the most is the video she posted before all of it, screaming with joy about her brand new freedom. Watch how her new chapter began, because she filmed it herself.
Y'all, I am divorced. I am motherfucking divorced. Y'all don't even know how good this feel. Like, I feel free. I'm divorced, bitch. I told y'all, yeah, big divorce on paper, and I'm happy about it.
She had been married, it had not worked out, and she was starting over out loud, which was exactly who she was. Latasha Lachey Hyman, known to everyone as Tasha, was a 39-year-old makeup artist from the Fort Worth, Texas area, born on October 3, 1984. She was not a celebrity. She was a self-made businesswoman who built her beauty brand, Slay by Shay, into a Fort Worth institution with a loyal client list of over 1,000 people, delivering full glam, soft glam, and transformations, with a personality that clients came back for as much as the makeup itself. Her family painted a consistent picture of who she was. Her father, Theodore Terry, compared her to angels, saying her entire MO was to spread love within any room she goes into, to breathe tranquility, and to bring people together. Her cousin Tanisha Calhoun said she made people feel beautiful and that her legacy would always be love, laughter, and joy. After that divorce, Tasha found love again with a man named Tommy Howard, and their story is one of two broken people fixing each other, because Tommy was carrying his own grief. His previous fiancée had died of cancer about 4 years earlier, and by his own account, Tasha is the one who pulled him out of that darkness, which is why he called her my savior, described her as the sweetest person on this earth, and named her one of the best makeup artists in the city. A woman fresh out of a marriage that did not serve her, engaged to a man she rescued from grief, running a thriving business, loved by 1,000 clients. That is where Tasha Hyman stood on the morning of July 4th, 2024. The 4th of July block party on Castleman Street, in the Stop 6 neighborhood of East Fort Worth, was a tradition, and Tommy Howard said those parties had happened in the neighborhood for years, without any incidents of violence. Tasha and Tommy were not even in the middle of it, because they were celebrating at his parents' home on Castleman Street. This year, though, the party grew into something nobody could control. And according to the official Fort Worth Police news release, a crowd of about 200 to 300 people took over multiple blocks of Castleman Street, turning a neighborhood gathering into an unpermitted street takeover. Two things defined the chaos. Drivers were doing donuts, spinning and drifting their cars in the intersection of Castleman and Comanche Streets, filling the night with engine noise and burning rubber, and far more recklessly, people in the crowd were launching fireworks directly toward neighboring homes where families were trying to sleep. Tommy Howard believed the residents nearby were growing tired of the noise from the cars, and that frustration sat underneath the celebration like a lit fuse. The internet later twisted this part of the story, so let us set it straight with what the record actually shows. Tasha had been casually live streaming parts of the block party on Facebook throughout the evening, sharing the holiday atmosphere the way millions of people do, and one of her videos even captured how out of hand things were getting, because it showed a firework exploding just feet away from a police cruiser that had its emergency lights activated. The chaos was happening close enough to law enforcement that she caught it on her phone, and the party rolled on anyway. After her death, sensational videos claimed she was a famous influencer executed live on stream. That claim does not match the record, and it disrespects the truth of her life, because there is no credible evidence she was streaming at the moment she was hurt, and she was a beloved local business owner who had been sharing the festivities earlier in the night. The real story does not need the exaggeration. As the night wound toward 11:30, Tasha did the most ordinary thing imaginable because she went inside Tommy's parents' house to use the bathroom, and according to Tommy's account to the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, she had just stepped back outside when gunfire suddenly erupted. According to Tommy, everybody outside began running and ducking as heavy gunfire tore into the crowd, and a neighborhood resident named Bobby Warner described the confusion of those first seconds. Because on the 4th of July, your brain tells you the bangs are something else. At 11:33 at night, officers responded to the intersection of Castleman Street and Wyman Drive, and what they found there, along with what detectives would recover from that street in the days after, pointed to something far bigger than one angry person with one gun. Tasha Hyman was struck in the chest and arm. She was rushed to an area hospital, with some reports referencing John Peter Smith Hospital, and she did not survive, and the Tarrant County Medical Examiner's Office ruled her death a homicide caused by gunshot wounds. She was pronounced dead in the early hours of July 5th, the day after celebrating America's birthday with the man she was going to marry. She was not the only one. Marcus Martin Jr., a young man visiting from San Diego, California, was shot in the back and died at Texas Health Harris Methodist Hospital. Early reports listed his age as 26, but the medical examiner's records were later updated, and he was confirmed to be just 19 years old. Her cousin Tanisha Calhoun made the point that needed making, that Tasha had no connection to violence and was simply caught in the open when the shooting started. When detectives processed that scene, they recovered more than 100 fired casings and live rounds, and they came from several different types of guns, which is why, in the police's own assessment, this was multiple suspects shooting gunfire at people in that crowd, firing into a gathering of 200 to 300 human beings. Fort Worth Police Chief Neil Noakes captured the citywide grief in his statement. "My heart breaks for the families who are waking up after the 4th of July, a day meant for celebration, to grieve the loss of young lives taken from senseless crime. We share in their grief and remain committed to ensuring the safety and well-being of our community." End quote. About 2 weeks later, there was movement because 21-year-old Toderick Dreshawn Rogers was arrested around July 18th and charged with murder in connection with the Castleman Street shooting. Before you feel any sense of closure, though, understand what the record actually says, because police never publicly detailed his alleged specific role, including whether he fired the shots that struck Tasha or Marcus. And through the middle of 2026, extensive searches turn up no public updates whatsoever on an indictment, a trial, a plea, a conviction, or a sentencing in his case. Detectives believed multiple shooters were responsible, and yet as far as the public record shows, only one person was ever arrested before the case simply went quiet. If you want to know why families of gun violence victims say the system fails them twice, this is what they mean. Fort Worth was not even done bleeding that night. Just 7 minutes after the Castleman Street call, at 11:40, officers responded to a completely separate shooting on the 7500 block of West Cleburne Road in South Fort Worth, and this one, according to police, started when a fight broke out between the suspect and one of the victims at a gathering, and the suspect began shooting at that person and others who were present. An adult man did not survive, and among 5 more victims driven to a hospital in private vehicles, 2 little young ones, one just 15 months old and one 4 years old, did not survive their injuries. That is the only time their ages will be spoken in this video, because these young ones deserve to be remembered as who they were, not what happened to them. Their names were Ivy and Winter, and their mother, Charday Bills, lost 2 of her 5 daughters in a single night. 1 week later, at a balloon release held at the Tree of Life funeral home, she stood in front of cameras and tried to find words that do not exist. Listen to her.
It's been 1 week now since a deadly fight broke out at a Fort Worth car wash. 2 of the victims were these young girls. As our Aaron Jones reports tonight, their family is remembering them.
Finding the words. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming out, being here. I can't. It's okay. It's hard. Winter. winter.
1 week ago, on the 4th of July, Sharday Bills lost 2 of her 5 daughters, 4-year-old Ivy and 15-month-old Winter.
They was just sweet. They was sweet. That was my noise rock. My house is so quiet now. Without my babies.
Fort Worth police say after a fight broke out at a gathering at this car wash on West Cleburne Road, a shooting occurred. The 2 girls and 1 other person were caught in the crossfire and died. 26-year-old Kennard Murphy is now facing capital charges for the crime. Witnesses told police this had to do with some domestic violence issues between the suspect and his daughter's mother. They say he put his baby in the back of the car, then turned around with a rifle and opened fire.
It's impacted us a lot. Senseless violence is something that we shouldn't see.
1, 2, 3.
At the Tree of Life Funeral Home in Fort Worth, a balloon release was held.
It's truly sad, this occasion. As a family, we want to thank the Lord for his blessings. As we come together and be strong, and hold each other up.
In that case, at least, there was a clear path to accountability, because 26-year-old Kennard Murphy was charged with capital murder, with witnesses telling police the situation traced back to a domestic dispute, and we will leave the rest of the details alone because you do not need them. What you do need to hear is what Bishop Rodney McIntosh said at that balloon release, speaking for a grieving mother and for an entire country. Listen to him.
Can we just please put down these guns? Man, we have to, in our community, get back to a way, man, that we have other ways of resolving conflict when it happens. Man, like that does not have to be the answer every time somebody has a dispute.
12 days after the shooting, on July 16th, Fort Worth said goodbye to Tasha. Her wake was held at Christ Cathedral Church, and the building overflowed with mourners. A woman who did makeup out of a local business, filling a cathedral past capacity. And afterward, the crowd moved outside and released pink and purple balloons into the Texas sky, some of them bearing the name Shay, the name her clients knew her by. Her business page posted a statement that read, "It is with a heavy heart that we announce the passing of our beloved owner Latasha," and Slay by Shay temporarily closed its doors, while Tommy posted his own farewell online, writing, "Rest in paradise to my baby." Her father, grieving, still chose grace, saying a parent should never have to bury their child, but that he wanted his daughter's death to build a bridge of unity and friendship among people from all walks of life. Lynn, Claudia, and Tasha never met, and their stories played out in 3 different cities. But underneath the circumstances, this is one story told 3 times. A story about how the internet flattens real human suffering into content. Lynn gave 5 years of her life to a man and got repaid with on-camera admissions and a comment section arguing about her motives. Claudia's final moments were filmed by a crowd of phones, and the police had to publicly beg people to stop sharing the footage. Tasha was rebranded after death as an influencer executed on a live stream because the truth that a kind local woman was cut down at a family cookout apparently was not clickable enough. The lesson is simple enough to say plainly: the people on your screen are real, and the worst moment of their life is not entertainment. When it crosses your feed, you can be a witness who cares, or you can be part of the crowd. Rest in peace to Claudia, to Tasha, to Marcus. If you know somebody carrying a caregiver's load the way Lynn did, or somebody letting a small grudge grow into something bigger than it should ever be, share this video with them, because sometimes a stranger's story reaches a person when nothing else can. And drop your answer to Lynn's question in the comments. When the love changes after trauma, do you stay or do you go? Because your answer might be exactly what somebody else scrolling through needs to read tonight. Until next time, look after the people who look after you.